courtroom is supposed to be where victims finally get answers. For Clyde Shelton, it becomes the place where he loses everything for a second time. The men who murdered his wife and daughter are standing only a few feet away. The evidence is there, the confession is there. Yet one of them leaves with a reduced sentence after agreeing to testify against his partner. The law calls it a practical decision. Clyde calls it betrayal. Most people remember Law-Abiding Citizen for its elaborate revenge scenes. Those moments are entertaining, but they're not why the movie has stayed relevant. The reason people still debate it is much simpler. Every terrible decision Clyde makes can be traced back to one question. What do you do when the people responsible for justice stop making you believe in it? It's easy to watch this film and separate everyone into heroes and villains. Nick Rice represents the law. Clyde Shelton represents revenge. Simple. Except the movie refuses to stay that simple. Nick spends years protecting a legal system that rewards efficiency over certainty. Clyde spends years convincing himself that fear can succeed where the courts failed. Both men believe they're fighting for justice. Both leave destruction behind them. That's what makes Law-Abiding Citizen fascinating. It isn't interested in telling us who deserves our support. It keeps asking where justice ends and obsession begins, and whether the system shares responsibility for creating the very people it later condemns. Nick Rice isn't lazy. He isn't heartless. He's doing exactly what successful prosecutors are trained to do: win. Every legal system has limits. Witnesses become unreliable. Evidence disappears. Juries make unpredictable decisions. Plea bargains exist because trials carry risk, and prosecutors would rather secure one conviction than gamble on losing both. From inside the courtroom, Nick's decision makes perfect sense. From outside it, the picture looks very different. Imagine sitting where Clyde is sitting. The man responsible for your family's murder receives a deal designed to protect the prosecutor's record. Justice starts feeling less like a moral principle and more like a negotiation. That's the emotional gap the movie builds its entire story around. No laws are broken. No conspiracy unfolds behind closed doors. Everyone follows procedure. And somehow the victim still leaves feeling abandoned. That idea is far more unsettling than any explosion later in the film. It suggests that a system can function exactly as intended while still failing the people who depend on it most. Years pass before Clyde makes his move. That matters. His revenge isn't impulsive. It's designed. Every trap is carefully planned. Every target serves a purpose. Every death carries a message. He's trying to force everyone around him into the same position he once occupied. Confused, powerless, unable to stop what's coming. Look closely at the way Clyde chooses his victims. Many of them aren't connected by friendship. They're connected by the institution they represent. Judges, prosecutors, officials, people who believe they were simply doing their jobs. Clyde rejects that explanation completely. As far as he's concerned, every decision helped create the world that allowed his family's killers to escape real punishment. His war isn't against individuals anymore. It's against complacency. One scene captures this perfectly.
So what do you suggest, Nick? Make another deal? One final offer, is that what it is?
I don't make deals with murderers anymore, Clyde. You taught me that.
Nick offers Clyde a deal. For Nick, negotiation is routine. For Clyde, it's a reminder of the courtroom where everything unraveled years earlier. The conversation carries far more weight than the dialogue itself. The same legal shortcut that once seemed perfectly acceptable suddenly feels dangerous when the person across the table has all the leverage. The movie quietly asks whether principles only matter when we're the ones forced to live with their consequences. There comes a point where sympathy becomes difficult. Clyde's anger begins with the people directly responsible for his loss. Eventually, that anger spreads much further. The targets multiply. The violence escalates. Ordinary people find themselves caught in a conflict they never started. The tragedy is that Clyde gradually loses sight of the family he set out to avenge. His mission becomes larger than the crime. It becomes an attempt to remake the entire justice system through fear. History rarely remembers people who believed violence would stay neatly contained. Once it begins expanding, control becomes an illusion. That's exactly what happens here. By the final act, Clyde has become just as consumed by his mission as the system he despises. The prosecutor measures success through convictions. Clyde measures success through casualties. Both start believing the end justifies whatever happens along the way. That parallel is impossible to ignore. The ending gives Nick the victory. The bombs stop. The city survives. Life moves forward. Yet one question hangs over the final scene. Would another Clyde Shelton emerge tomorrow? The film never answers it. Instead, it leaves us staring at the same legal system that failed him years earlier. The buildings are still standing. The procedures haven't changed. The incentives remain exactly where they were. That's why Law-Abiding Citizen continues to spark arguments long after the credits roll. People aren't defending every choice Clyde makes. Most viewers recognize how horrifying those choices become. What they're really wrestling with is the beginning of his story. The courtroom. The compromise. The moment a grieving husband realized justice could be negotiated. The film suggests something deeply uncomfortable. A broken person can be dangerous. A broken institution can create many more. And that's the thought that lingers long after Clyde Shelton disappears from the screen.